Hey everyone, welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're diving into a topic today that I think a lot of you are going to be interested in. It's all about building passive income, which, let's face it, who wouldn't want to make money even while they sleep?
Right. It's the dream.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we've got a great resource to guide us today. It's a document called Passive Income Ideas to Make Money While You Sleep. It's packed with ideas, and we're going to break it all down so you can really understand what passive income is all about and whether it might be a good fit for you.
Yeah, and when we're talking about passive income, what we really mean is, well, you're earning money without having to constantly put in effort, after that initial setup. Like it's the opposite of your typical 9 to 5 job.
Right. It's not like trading your time directly for money, which is what most of us are used to. Passive income is more about setting something up that can then generate income on its own, or at least with minimal ongoing effort from you.
Exactly. And, there are lots of examples. Like if you own a rental property and you're collecting rent every month, that's a form of passive income.
Or if you invest in stocks that pay dividends, that's another example.
Right. Or you could create something once, like an online course or an ebook, and then potentially sell it over and over again without having to recreate it every time. Those are just a few examples to kind of get us started.
So our goal today is to dig into all of these different passive income ideas and more and see how they work and really help you understand what it takes to get started and what you need to be aware of.
Totally. So let's jump right in, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it. So first, we really need to be clear on the distinction between passive income and active income. We've touched on it already, but active income is, like you said, that classic 9 to 5 job, freelancing, anything where you are directly exchanging your time for money.
And with active income, if you stop working, well, the income generally stops too, right?
Exactly. Now, passive income is about putting in the effort up front to build something, an asset or a system that can then generate income without you needing to be actively involved all the time.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned online courses before, so you might spend a couple of months creating a really great course, but then ideally, people keep buying it and you keep earning money even if you're not actively teaching or updating it every single day.
That's the idea, at least. Now, it's really important to be realistic here because, truly passive income where you literally do nothing and the money just rolls in, well, that's pretty rare.
That's a good point. I think our guide even mentions that almost all passive income streams are going to require some level of effort, especially in the beginning.
For sure. Like, you might need to update that online course eventually, or if you're renting out property, there's always going to be some level of management involved. But the goal with passive income is to significantly reduce that ongoing effort compared to a traditional job.
Absolutely. So for someone who's just starting to explore this, maybe they're listening to this thinking, okay, this sounds interesting. What are some good beginner-friendly options for getting into passive income?
Well, the guide highlights a few that I think are great starting points. So, one that comes up a lot is dividend stocks. And this just means investing in companies that regularly pay out a portion of their profits to their shareholders.
So you basically buy the stock, and then as long as the company keeps doing well and paying dividends, you get those regular payments.
Exactly. And a good tip from the guide here is, look for companies that have a solid track record of paying consistent dividends. That's going to be a much safer bet than some brand new company that might not even be profitable yet.
That makes sense. And I think it's important to remember that investing always involves risk.
Oh, absolutely. But, the stock market can be a powerful tool for building wealth and generating passive income, but you got to do your research and make sure you understand the risks involved before you jump in.
Definitely. Okay, so dividend stocks is one option. What else does the guide recommend for beginners?
Well, another one that's pretty accessible is renting out a spare room, like maybe through Airbnb if you've got the space.
Oh yeah, that's become quite popular. It can be a good way to make some extra money, especially if you live in an area that gets a lot of tourists.
For sure. And it can be pretty straightforward to set up, although, you do need to make sure you're following all the local regulations and things like that.
Right. So that's something to research before you list that spare room.
Definitely. Now, another option that I think is great for people who have a particular skill or knowledge they want to share is creating online
Yeah,
courses.
we talked about that a little bit earlier. So there are all these platforms now like Udemy and Teachable where you can basically create a course on pretty much anything you're good at and then sell it online.
And it's cool because you create the course once, and then ideally people can keep buying it and taking it. So the potential to earn passive income is pretty huge there.
Definitely. It's all about packaging your knowledge and making it accessible to a wider audience. But like you said before, it does take work to create a high-quality course, and you need to be prepared to put in the effort to market it and get people to sign up.
Absolutely. Now, another option that's closely related to online courses is affiliate marketing. And this is where you're basically recommending products or services from other companies and earning a commission if people buy through your unique referral link.
So you could have a blog where you review products or a YouTube channel where you demonstrate how to use different tools and then include affiliate links for those products. So if someone buys something after clicking on your link, you get a cut of the sale.
Exactly. And the cool thing about affiliate marketing is that once you've built up an audience and established trust, the effort required for each subsequent sale is minimal. You're essentially leveraging the work of others, but you need to do it ethically and make sure you genuinely believe in the products you're recommending.
Right. You don't want to just be pushing stuff on people that you don't actually think is good.
Mm.
Authenticity is key there.
Absolutely. And, building trust with your audience, that takes time and effort. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme.
No, but it can be a really powerful way to generate passive income over long term, especially if you're passionate about the products or services you're promoting.
Totally. And, the last beginner-friendly option I wanted to mention is selling digital products.
Oh, yeah, this is a good one too. So we're talking about things like ebooks, templates, design assets, anything that can be created digitally and then sold online.
Exactly. And you can sell these through your own website or through platforms like Etsy or Gumroad. And again, you put in the work up front to create the product, but then you can potentially sell it multiple times without having to create it again each time.
So it's similar to online courses in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
You're creating something valuable once and then leveraging that initial effort to generate ongoing income.
Right. And what I think is really cool about these beginner options is that so many of them are based online, which makes them accessible to people all over the world, and you don't necessarily need a ton of money to get started.
Totally. So let's talk about that appealing idea of actually making money while you sleep, because that's what a lot of people associate with passive income. Is that really possible?
Well, the guide says, yeah, it definitely is, but, and it's a big but, it all comes down to setting up systems that can function without you needing to be constantly involved.
Right. So it's not like you magically start earning money without doing anything. It's more like you put in the effort to build something that can then run on its own, or at least with minimal input from you.
Right. Like, take that online course example again. If you create a really good course and it's well marketed, people could be signing up and buying it while you're sleeping, literally.
Or while you're on vacation, or spending time with your family, or doing whatever else you enjoy.
Exactly. And the same goes for a lot of these other passive income ideas. Once you've got things set up correctly, the money can keep coming in even when you're not actively working.
So it's all about shifting your mindset from trading time for money to building assets or systems that can work for you even when you're not directly involved.
I think that's a great way to put it.
So let's get into some more specific online passive income streams that the guide mentions. We've already talked about online courses and affiliate marketing, but there are a few others that I think are worth exploring. One that's really popular is blogging, especially when you combine it with ads and affiliate links.
Yeah, blogging can be a great way to generate passive income. You create content that people are interested in, and then you can earn money from ads displayed on your site and from those affiliate links we talked about earlier.
And the cool thing about blogging is that if you do it right, you can build up a loyal audience over time, and your content can continue to attract new readers even years after you've published it.
So it's not like you have to constantly be churning out new content to keep the money coming in.
Exactly. And similar to blogging, YouTube is another big one for online passive income.
Absolutely. YouTube has become a huge platform, and there are all sorts of ways to monetize your videos, from running ads to getting sponsorships to even setting up channel memberships.
Right. And again, it takes effort to create high-quality videos and build an audience, but once you've got a good following, your videos can generate income passively through those different monetization methods.
It's about creating content that people want to watch and then leveraging the platform's built-in tools to turn that content into a source of income.
Now, for those of us who are more visually inclined, the guide also mentions selling stock photos online.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one, too. There are all these websites now, like Shutterstock and Adobe Stock, where you can upload your photos and then people can buy licenses to use them.
So if you're a good photographer and you've got a decent library of images, you can potentially earn money every time someone downloads one of your photos.
And you could even specialize in a certain niche, like travel photography or food photography, which can help you stand out in a crowded marketplace.
Definitely. So it's all about leveraging your existing skills and finding ways to monetize them online.
Now, another option that's really interesting is print on demand, or POD for short.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that. It's basically a way to sell custom designed products like t-shirts or mugs without having to handle any of the inventory or shipping yourself.
Exactly. You work with a company that has all the printing equipment and they handle all the logistics of fulfilling the orders so you can focus on the design and marketing side of things.
Sounds pretty hands-off once you've got your designs created.
It can be. And there are a ton of different products you can offer, from clothing to home decor to phone cases. So it's a really versatile option for creative entrepreneurs.
Definitely. And finally, the guide mentions subscription-based newsletters as a way to generate passive income.
Right. So this is where you build up an email list of people who are interested in what you have to say, and then you charge them a recurring fee to access your exclusive content.
So it could be like a weekly newsletter with tips and advice on a specific topic, or maybe behind-the-scenes content from your creative process, anything that your audience would be willing to pay for.
Exactly. And once you've got a solid subscriber base, that recurring revenue can be a really nice source of passive income.
Definitely. So I think we've covered a pretty wide range of online passive income ideas here. And it's clear that there are a lot of opportunities out there for people who are willing to put in the effort and be creative.
And I think the key takeaway here is that while the income can become more passive over time, there's often a significant investment of time and effort required upfront to create the content, build an audience, and set up the systems to make it all work.
Absolutely. So let's move on to another popular avenue for passive income, which is real estate.
All right, so real estate, a classic, right? And, one of the most traditional ways to generate passive income through real estate is by becoming a landlord. So you buy a property, you find tenants, and they pay you rent every month.
That's the basic idea. And once you've got good tenants in place, it can be a pretty reliable source of income.
But, and there's always a but, you've got to be prepared to handle the responsibilities that come with being a landlord, like dealing with repairs and maintenance, screening tenants, sometimes dealing with difficult tenants, that kind of thing.
Right. It's not always going to be smooth sailing.
Yeah.
And you might need to invest some time and money into maintaining the property to keep it in good condition.
Definitely. Now, another option within real estate is short-term rentals, like Airbnb.
Oh, yeah, that's become really popular in recent years. And the guide mentions that it can potentially generate even higher returns than traditional long-term rentals.
Yeah, especially if you've got a property in a desirable tourist location. But, and this is something the guide subtly points out, you might need to be more hands-on with short-term rentals. Like you're dealing with a higher turnover of guests, you've got to manage bookings and cleanings, be responsive to inquiries.
So it might not be quite as passive as being a traditional landlord.
Right, it's a trade-off, really. You might have the potential to earn more, but you also might need to put in more time and effort to manage it all.
It's all about finding the right balance for your lifestyle and your goals.
Exactly. Now, for people who like the idea of real estate but maybe don't want to deal with the hassle of owning and managing property directly, the guide mentions real estate crowdfunding and REITs.
REITs, those are real estate investment trusts, right?
That's right. And they're kind of like mutual funds, but for real estate.
Yeah.
So you invest in a REIT, and they use that money to buy and manage a portfolio of properties, and then you get a share of the profits.
So it's a way to get exposure to the real estate market without having to buy and manage your own properties.
Exactly. And, REITs can invest in all sorts of different types of real estate, from residential to commercial and everything in between. So it's worth doing your research and finding a REIT that aligns with your investment goals.
Definitely. So we've talked about real estate. Let's circle back to investing in stocks, specifically for generating passive income. We touched on dividend stocks earlier, but the guide goes into a bit more detail on that.
Right, so dividend stocks can be a really solid strategy for building wealth and creating a stream of passive income. It's like we were saying earlier, you buy shares in a company that pays dividends, and then as long as the company keeps doing well and paying those dividends, you get a portion of the profits.
And the guide emphasizes the power of reinvesting those dividends.
Right, so instead of just pocketing the cash, you can use it to buy more shares, and then you're earning even more dividends in the future. That's the magic of compounding. It can really snowball over time.
It's like your money's making more money for you.
Exactly. And the guide also mentions index funds as another good option for passive investing in the stock market.
So index funds basically track a specific market index. like the S&P 500.
Right. So instead of trying to pick individual stocks, which can be risky and time-consuming, you're essentially investing in a basket of stocks that represents a whole segment of the market.
And index funds tend to be low cost and low maintenance. So they're a popular choice for passive investors who are looking for long-term growth.
Definitely. But it's important to remember that, like with any investment, there are risks involved with stocks and index funds. The market can go up, but it can also go down, and there's always the possibility of losing money.
All right, it's important to have a balanced perspective and understand the risks involved.
Totally. And that actually brings us to another important section in the guide, which is all about the potential risks associated with passive income.
Right, because it's not all sunshine and roses, is it?
Definitely not. The guide is really good about highlighting the potential downsides, because it's important to go into this with realistic expectations.
Absolutely. So what are some of the key risks that the guide points out?
Well, one of the biggest ones is market volatility. We talked about stocks and how the market can go up and down. Well, that's true for a lot of passive income streams.
So even if you've got a great rental property or a really popular online course, the income you generate could fluctuate depending on market conditions.
Right. Like, imagine you're renting out a property in a city that's experiencing a sudden economic downturn. You might find it harder to find tenants, or you might need to lower the rent to stay competitive.
Or if you've got an online business, selling a product that suddenly becomes less popular, your sales could drop.
Exactly. So it's important to be aware of those potential fluctuations and have a plan in place for how you'll deal with them.
And another risk that the guide mentions is upfront costs.
Right. So a lot of passive income ventures require a certain amount of capital investment upfront. Like
Right.
you need money to buy that rental property or to create that online course or to launch that product.
And depending on what you're doing, those upfront costs could be significant.
For sure. And even if the upfront costs aren't huge, you still need to factor in the time and effort you're investing, which also has a cost.
Right. Your time is valuable and you need to make sure you're investing it wisely.
Absolutely. And another risk that the guide highlights is competition.
Oh, yeah. Especially in the online world, it feels like there's competition everywhere you turn.
Right. So if you're creating an online course or launching a product or starting a blog, chances are there are already others out there doing something similar.
So you need to find a way to stand out from the crowd and offer something unique or valuable.
Exactly. And you might need to put in some extra effort to market yourself and reach your target audience.
And finally, the guide mentions the risk of changes in regulations.
Right. So this is something that can be easy to overlook, but it's really important. The laws and regulations around certain industries can change, and that could have a big impact on your passive income stream.
So, for example, you might be renting out a property on Airbnb, and then the local government decides to crack down on short-term rentals, which could really hurt your business.
Or you might be selling a product online, and then new regulations are introduced that make it more difficult or expensive to do so.
Right, so it's important to stay informed about any potential changes in regulations that could affect your business.
Absolutely. And it's also a good idea to diversify your income streams, so you're not relying on just one source of income.
Definitely. So let's talk about getting started with passive income. What kind of financial investment might someone need to make to get started?
Well, the guide provides a helpful range, and it really varies depending on what you want to do. So at the very low end, things like starting a blog or a YouTube channel or doing some affiliate marketing, you could potentially get started with almost no money at all.
Right, those are all things that you could do with just a computer and an internet connection.
Exactly. But, even if you're not spending a ton of money, you're still investing your time and effort, which are valuable.
Definitely. So what about options that require a bit more financial investment?
Well, if you're looking to get into dividend stocks or maybe buy some vending machines or create more sophisticated digital products, you might need to invest somewhere between $500 to $5,000.
And then at the higher end, you've got things like rental properties or franchise opportunities, or even investing in a business that you can then automate. Those could require tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars.
It really depends on your goals and how ambitious you want to be.
Definitely. But what if someone doesn't have a lot of money to invest up front? Can they still build passive income?
Absolutely. The guide highlights several options that require more of an investment of your time and effort than a big financial investment.
So things like content creation, like starting a blog or a YouTube channel or doing affiliate marketing, Those can be good options for people who are starting out with limited funds.
Right. You're essentially leveraging your skills and knowledge to create value and build an audience.
And once you've got that audience, you can monetize it in various ways, like running ads, selling products, or even getting sponsorships.
And another great option is print on demand. So you can create designs for t-shirts, mugs, phone cases, all sorts of things, and then sell them online without ever having to hold any inventory.
Right, because the company you partner with handles all the printing and shipping, so your upfront costs are very low.
It's a really cool model, and it's becoming increasingly popular.
Definitely. Now, I think it's interesting how the guide points out that a lot of passive income streams actually start out as side hustles.
Oh, that's a great point. And it makes sense when you think about it. Like, you might start out freelancing or tutoring or selling crafts on Etsy just to make some extra money on the side.
But then, as you build up your skills and your experience, you can start to transition those side hustles into more passive income streams.
Like that freelance graphic designer we talked about earlier could start creating digital product templates that they can sell passively online.
Or a tutor could record their lessons and sell them as online courses.
Exactly. It's all about finding ways to leverage the work you're already doing to create something that can generate income even when you're not actively working on it.
It's like turning your side hustle into an asset that keeps working for you even when you're not.
I like that.
So, we've talked about affiliate marketing a few times now, but I think it's worth really understanding how it works as a passive income source because it's such a popular strategy.
Okay, so at its most basic level, affiliate marketing is all about recommending products or services from other companies and earning a commission when someone makes a purchase through your unique referral link.
So you could be a blogger who writes reviews of different products and then includes your affiliate links in those reviews.
Or you could be a YouTuber who creates tutorials on how to use a specific software program and then include your affiliate link for that software in the description of your video.
And the guide mentions some really well-known examples of affiliate programs, like the Amazon Associates program, which lets you earn commissions on pretty much anything sold on Amazon.
Right. And there are also lots of specialized affiliate programs, particularly in niches like web hosting and software, where the commissions can be even higher.
Like Bluehost and Shopify. Those are popular ones that come to mind.
Definitely. And the guide also talks about content-based affiliate marketing, which I think is really interesting.
So what's the difference between that and regular affiliate marketing?
Well, with content-based affiliate marketing, you're not just slapping your links on any old website or social media post. You're creating valuable content that's relevant to your target audience and then naturally incorporating your affiliate links into that content.
So it's more about providing genuine value and building trust with your audience rather than just trying to make a quick buck.
Exactly. And when it's done well, content-based affiliate marketing can be a really effective way to generate passive income.
Definitely. Now, online courses have come up a lot in our conversation today, and for good reason, because they can be a really great source of passive income. So let's dig into what makes them so effective.
Okay, so the real power of online courses is that you create them once, and then they can be sold repeatedly to a global audience.
And thanks to platforms like Udemy and Teachable, a lot of the technical aspects of creating and selling courses are handled for you.
Right, so you don't need to be a tech wizard to get started.
But it's not as simple as just recording a few videos and uploading them, is it?
Not if you want to be successful. You need to put in the effort to create a high-quality course that people will actually want to buy and take.
Right. So it needs to be well-structured, informative, engaging, and it needs to deliver on its promises.
Absolutely. And you also need to be prepared to market your course and get it in front of the right audience.
So you might need to create blog posts or YouTube videos or social media content that promotes your course.
Exactly. It takes effort to get the word out, but if you do it right, online courses can be a really powerful way to generate passive income.
Definitely. Now let's talk about dropshipping because it often comes up in the context of passive income, but I think there's some debate about whether it's truly passive or not.
Yeah, dropshipping is definitely an interesting one. So the basic idea is that you sell products to customers without ever actually holding any of the inventory yourself.
So when someone places an order through your online store,
Mhm.
you basically just forward that order to your supplier
Yeah.
and they handle the shipping and everything.
Exactly. And it can be a pretty appealing model because you don't need to invest a lot of money upfront in inventory, and you don't have to deal with the hassle of storing and shipping products.
Right, so in that sense, it sounds pretty passive. But the guide points out that it's not always as hands-off as it might seem.
Right, because even though you're not handling the inventory or shipping, you're still responsible for things like customer service and advertising.
So you need to be responsive to customer inquiries, handle any problems that arise, and constantly be working to drive traffic to your store.
Exactly, and depending on how you set things up, dropshipping can require a significant amount of ongoing effort.
So it's not necessarily a truly passive income stream, but it can be a good option for people who are willing to put in the work and build a solid business.
Definitely. And speaking of things that require some effort, the guide also touches on using cryptocurrencies to generate passive income.
Oh yeah, crypto is a hot topic these days.
Mm.
So what are some of the ways people are earning passive income with crypto?
Well, one way is through staking, where you basically hold certain cryptocurrencies in a digital wallet for a specific period of time, and you earn rewards for doing so.
So it's kind of like earning interest on your savings account, but with crypto.
Kind of, yeah. And then there's yield farming, which is a bit more complex, but it basically involves lending or staking your crypto on decentralized finance platforms to earn rewards.
So it's a way to put your crypto to work and earn a return on it.
Right. And then some cryptocurrency projects actually pay dividends to their holders, similar to stocks.
Interesting. So there are a few different ways to potentially earn passive income with crypto.
There are, but the guide is very clear about the risks involved. Crypto markets are notoriously volatile, so your investments could go up, but they could also go down significantly.
Right. So it's important to do your research, understand the risks, and only invest what you can afford to lose.
Absolutely.
Now, for all the writers out there, the guide actually mentions writing a book as a potential passive income stream.
Yeah, it can be. And thanks to self-publishing platforms like Amazon KDP, it's easier than ever to get your book out there and start earning royalties.
So you write the book once, and then potentially earn royalties every time someone buys it.
Exactly. And you can even increase your potential earnings by creating an audiobook version of your book or by having it translated into other languages.
So there are ways to really expand your reach and potentially generate a significant amount of passive income from your writing.
Definitely.
Now, another interesting idea that the guide mentions is renting out assets you already own.
Oh, yeah. This is a great way to put things you're not using to work for you.
So you could rent out your car on Turo when you're not using it, or rent out spare storage space on Neighbor.com, or even rent out tools and equipment on Fat Llama.
And it's becoming more and more common as people look for ways to make extra money and share resources.
It's like the sharing economy applied to passive income.
I like that.
No, this one might sound a bit old school, but the guide actually mentions vending machines as a potential source of passive income.
Vending machines. Yeah, they can be. I mean, think about it. You put a vending machine in a high traffic location, stock it with snacks or drinks, and then people pay you money to buy those things.
So it's pretty hands-off once you've got it set up.
Right. Of course, you need to make sure the machine is stocked and maintained, and you might need to deal with the occasional repair or vandalism.
But overall, it can be a pretty passive way to generate income.
Definitely.
Now, one of the keys to really maximizing passive income is automation. So the guide talks about different ways to automate your income streams.
Right. Because the more you can automate, the less hands-on you need to be.
So what are some of the key methods for automating passive income?
Well, one that's really popular is email marketing. You can set up automated email sequences that guide potential customers through the sales process, deliver valuable content, and even upsell them on other products or services.
So it's like having a virtual salesperson working for you 24/7.
Exactly. And then there are AI-powered chatbots that can handle a lot of basic customer service inquiries, which can free up a lot of your time.
Right, so you're not constantly having to answer the same questions over and over again.
Exactly. And then depending on the type of business you're running, you might be able to outsource certain tasks to freelancers or virtual assistants.
So you can focus on the high-level strategy and let others handle the day-to-day operations.
And finally, for content-driven platforms like YouTube, blogs, and newsletters, setting up ad revenue and subscription models can create a really nice stream of automatic income.
So the money keeps coming in even when you're not actively creating new content.
Right. It's all about building systems that can generate income without you needing to be constantly involved.
Definitely. Now, before we wrap up, the guide talks about what it considers to be the biggest mistake people make when trying to earn passive income.
Oh, this is a good one. And it's something that a lot of people fall into the trap of.
So what is this big mistake?
It's expecting instant results.
Ah, yes, the get-rich-quick mentality.
Exactly. And unfortunately, it doesn't really work that way with passive income.
It takes time, effort, and patience to build something that can generate sustainable income.
Right. And a lot of people give up too soon because they don't see those big returns right away.
They might try something for a few weeks or months and then get discouraged and quit.
But the reality is that most successful passive income streams take months or even years to really start generating significant income.
It's like planting a seed. You need to nurture it, give it time to grow, and then eventually you'll start to see the fruits of your labor.
That's a great analogy.
So if you're thinking about getting into passive income, be prepared to put in the work and be patient.
It's not a magic bullet, but it can be a really rewarding way to build wealth and achieve financial freedom over the long term.
Well, I think this has been a really insightful deep dive into the world of passive income. We've covered a lot of ground today, from understanding the basics of